Hey, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Romanpuss here with the one and only hero of Shandia, Kalgara, the one and only Lord Senpai, the savior of One Piece Bounty Rush from Goldie Roger and his monstrosity that he is. So, we're going to go over everything. If you have not gone over his skills and his traits, please take a quick read over them now before we get into it. Alright, now without further ado, let's dive in with stat recommendations. How should you build him? How should you build your metal sets? And what stats are best on him? Honestly, going HP attack is probably ideal, just because everyone ignores defense and you're going to be fighting a lot of gear 5s, and there's so many people who shred that. If you want to go pure defense, you can. He does actually have a solid defense stat if you want to go that route, but honestly, in my opinion, HP is just better, even though he does have a lower HP stat. The problem is so many people ignore defense, and then if you have your defense buff, there's people who have increased damage against you because Gear 5 ruined anyone with the defense buff at the very moment. So it is kind of a curse to build defense, and it's kind of a struggle. I used to really like the build full attack defense, but it's not really a thing anymore. So go HP attack, you'll be better off. Just be careful, there are certain units that will still one-shot you and you are kind of squishy, but you will get into that in a little bit later in the video. Alright, next let's talk about the pros. What makes him strong? Why is Kalgara good? For one, he is your anti-Roger, and we'll get into all the reasons, starting with anti-heal. Honestly, that trait where you heal back 30% of your HP if you take more than 20% of your HP in damage is disgusting, and is actually one of the most broken traits in the game, besides being able to take flags while the enemy's on it. So anti-heal, it mitigates that and makes it so much easier to deal with. Next, ignore damage reduction. Roger has so much damage reduction, especially while he's taking a flag. If you sit there and you use your skill 1 as Kalgara, you can one-shot any Roger and he will not have his revive either, so he will be one-shot and he will be dead. Then, you are tanky with your cannonball swing. It gives you fat damage reduction. Now watch out for the people who have ignored damage reduction, and watch out for giving people perfect dodges as well, because it is fairly easy to dodge. Make sure you have the enemy's dodges out before you go pressing and holding the skill. And if you know they're going to run into you and try and dodge off your skill 2, make sure you just press and let it go immediately. Next, you have a 75% attack buff. This is huge. This allows your damage to spike up greatly. And to be honest, you don't even have to do anything for it. So it's either when enemies take flags and start taking flags, that's when you get your attack buff. So if you just sit there, you're either winning and you don't get your attack buff, which works just fine, or you're losing and they're taking flags, and that works just fine too, because you'll be getting your attack buff and you'll be able to get your stuff back quickly. So you do so much damage, it's fantastic and I love it. Next, you're immune to status effects from dark and red units. So that's two types of colors that you don't have to worry about status effects from, because they're the colors that are weak against you. So you are blue, you're strong against red, and you're strong against dark types. So you don't have to worry about any status effects coming from them, which is huge, especially for Red Uta. Next, you ignore the revive trait, so you don't have to worry about people reviving. So Charlotte Biscuit Boy, someone like that, you can just sit there and one-shot them with your skill 2, because you ignore damage reduction as well, and it goes a long way. So it's a big deal. Kalgara has a lot of things going for him. There are some cons to him, and we'll dive into that. Alright, Kalgara's cons. What makes him weak? You're squishy. I'll be honest, you do get a defense buff that actually can keep you a little bit tanky, but for the most part, a lot of people can one-shot you if you don't have to build for it. Now, mine is only level 80, so mine does get one-shot fairly easily. It's to be expected. That's what happens with attackers, especially if they are level 80. At level 100, you'll be able to build more stats, and you'll have that HP and defense, which will make you go along like a lot farther when you're running that out. On top of that, you don't have very much sustain, and you don't have any when you're below 50%, so just make sure you watch out for that. You can heal back when you use your skills, and that goes a long way, and if you can use that to keep yourself above 50%, it'll be perfect for you. So just watch out for that. I think you actually don't have to have the 50% threshold in order to get the heals. You just got to press skill 1. So getting skill 1 cooldown will help you and go a long way, but just watch out. Your heals aren't huge, so just be careful of that as you're fighting. The other major con is kind of just the fact that you kind of look like a step up. I'll be honest, your skills are not insane. Your cannonball one looks pretty cool, but to be honest, it's in a way very similar to Garb. So they really just did reuse assets for this character. So there's nothing really that new about Kalgara besides him having traits that are geared towards countering Roger, because he was such a menace in the current league battle. So overall, he is still a fun unit. I do really enjoy playing him. Yes, he doesn't look insane, but he does play very well, and he is actually rather entertaining to play, so I don't put that against him. Alright, now let's talk about the characters that you counter. Besides the obvious almost any colors that you are strong against. So pretty much you probably do really well against most red units and most dark units, if not all of each. I'm not sure because no one can status affect you, so that's kind of disgusting. You're kind of an absolute monster. But most people with revives too, you can beat those. So like Charlotte Biscuit Boy, you have Roger, you have any of those people with revives, you can destroy. You can inflict anti-heal, so you don't have to worry about that. So like people like Big Mom even, so she's red, so you obviously have the color advantage, so you probably destroy red Big Mom, even though she's hardly played anymore, but you can destroy her as a menace. Like there's a lot of things that you have going for you when fighting these units. In general, he has a high damage. He is a glass cannon, so you can be killed, but you can do a lot of killing as well. So just try to stay out the center of the fight, or the mosh pit, and you'll be good. Alright, next let's talk about the Kalgara Counters. Now, there is a decent list. It's really not hard to kill him. There doesn't even need to be a specific counter, but there are some units that are rather difficult to fight. The first being, and is the main one that you'll run into, is Film Red Shanks, because this unit will never die, because Bandai just overtuned this character so badly. He will one-shot you. And you, for the most part, cannot do anything because he has the color advantage against you, first of all. On top of that, he ignores damage reductions. He has a fat attack buff against you as well. And he can just, it's not a struggle for him. He has anti-stagger. Like, he has so many things he can't be status effect. Like, it really doesn't even matter if you have ignored damage reduction. It doesn't do anything for you, to be honest, against him if he is in his red hair state. And you have no way to get rid of his red hair state either. I wish they had a way for Kalgara to get rid of it, but it is what it is. It's fine. Just watch out for that. Run away from that if you can. Next is going to be Whitebeard. The light unit Whitebeard is actually a problem because he has the ability to status affect you. Light units are very strong against all three colored units, so that's something to be concerned about. So if you get tremored, Whitebeard will more than likely just keep you perma-tremored for a while and stall you, or he'll eventually just kill you. So just things to be wary of as you are playing that. Those are probably the top two. But generally, any other status effect units that aren't red or dark are probably able to kill you or do decently well against you. Someone like Bluta or something probably is not going to struggle too much, even though she's damage reduction, but she also gets healed when she gets status affected, when she gets her top musica. So there's pros and cons. I mean, it changes per meta and what units are introduced and not introduced. So overall, he doesn't have a large amount of counters, but the counters that he does have are very abundant in the league battle right now. So those are his two major ones, are definitely Shanks and Whitebeard. I'm sure there are others out there, so if I don't list them all, make sure you guys list them down in the comments so others will know, and I will try to make note of the ones that you guys mentioned. So those for the most part. Alright, lastly, let's talk about the medal recommendations. I'll be honest, I did not have to put hardly any effort into thinking of medal recommendations for him because Kalgara really is the definition of just a generic attacker. He plays generically, he has a generic kit, he really doesn't have that much unique items going for him. So just go for damage. Like, I honestly think the best in slot is just high damage increase with the Luffy set, if you really want to. I think that's one of his best cases. If you really want to pound some skill 1 cooldown, you could go the Shank set. If you want a little bit of damage reduction and a little bit of high damage increase as well, you could go the Katakuri set, triple Katakuri. If you guys don't have any of these event medals, that is okay. If you guys are willing to spend money, you can get old event medals. Otherwise, event medals are completely blocked off by Bandai that are previously owned. So you can maybe make new ones that come along work. It's up to you guys. But one that you can currently get is the Attacker Boa set. That one's also phenomenal, and that one does not have any pink event medals. So that is an option if you guys are able to come by the triple Boa. If you're capable of getting those, it is kind of hard to get by those old units as well. Otherwise, just go for damage increase, and skill 1 cooldowns are probably the top 2 you're going to go for. I like to optimize my tags and get as many of those as possible. It really helps. I think it goes a long way. So overall, generic, just basic recommendations for Kalgara. He's a great unit, I will be honest. His attack buff goes a long way. You will one-shot, so just getting damage increase will be huge and be perfect for him. So that's all I have for you guys. I hope you guys found this video useful. Be sure to leave any comments if I missed anything down below, and I will try to pin them in and keep note of it. So that's all I have for you guys. Check out my Twitch, Twitter, Discord. Links are in the description below as always. I love y'all and appreciate y'all for everything that you do. I'm Romanpuss, and I'm going to be taking off. Yahoo! Peace, beautiful people.